Good evening, everybody. Today is Friday, February 1st. It's about close to midnight tonight here in Southern Ontario. It is still a little chilly. It's still, you have to remember it is February, so we can't expect too much, I guess, from the weather. I am today, for my drinking pleasure is Bodacious Bubbles. Not exactly sure I even care for it, but it's there. Today we're going to be making a card set. It's going to be a card set, like a gift set with 4 cards in it inside of a acetate box. This is going to be available to, the card pack is going to be my freebie for the month of February. It's going to be available to any online orders. Anybody who orders online using this host code over $40 but under $200. If you're over $200, you will still get the card pack from me personally, but I don't want you to use this host code. Don't use the host code if it's over $200. Stampin' Up! Will also give you an additional rewards for that. So under $200, preferably over $40, and you will get this card pack to make what I'm going to show you tonight. Okay, to get started, what we need are, you need 1 acetate box. This will hold the 4 cards when we're done. We're also going to make a belly band to decorate it. This will make a good teacher gift or something like that. I know that in my world we still send cards, but that's because my world involves a lot of card makers. You need 1 8.5 by 5.5 inch sheet of Whisper White, so that's half a sheet. And it's going to be scored at 4.5. This is actually a thick Whisper White. You will also need a scrap of white just for the sentiment. You don't need a very big piece. A 1/4 sheet of Melon Mambo for a mat, and a 1/4 sheet of Tranquil Tide. And a 1/4 sheet would end up being 5.5 by 4.25. You also need another 1/4 sheet of Whisper White. You want this to be the thinner, the regular Whisper White at 5.5 by 4.25. You don't need the thick for the card base. I just prefer it that way. For the band that goes around the card box, you'll need 1 inch by 11 inches of Whisper White, and it's going to be scored too. We'll go through that in a minute. Another scrap of white, and a scrap of both of the Melon Mambo in the Tranquil Tide, and that's just for the little design that's going to go on top of it. We're going to be using this stamp set. This is the Lasting Lily. It's a Sale-A-Bration set at the $120 level that you can earn for free with the $120 purchase. This is one of the 2 items that are actually available at that level. When you see the stamped, you will be blown away. We're also using another Sale-A-Bration set. This one's available at the $60 level. The only thing we're using out of here is just that little one right there that says just a note. You could also use other things that's on here, but I wanted something that was more generic. We're also going to be using the stitched rectangles that are new in the Occasions catalog. We're going to be using, this is just how I store them. They actually come in a little pouch, but this is how I store them. We're going to be using the largest 3 of the regular rectangles, and we're going to be using the smallest 3 of the sentiment type rectangles. Okay, to get started, we're going to do some stamping on the first white. Well, actually, I've cut them out already. Die cut them. So the white was cut from the smallest stitched rectangle, and that's what that looks like. So we're going to be stamping on that. I also cut from the smallest rectangle of the sentiment ones, 2 of these. They both say just a note, and I stamped it, and then I die cut it out. I didn't think you really need to see me to do that. One is going to be for the note card, and one's going to be for the belly band. We're not stamping anything, as I said, inside of this card. Okay, so I have all my stamps ready to go here. The first stamping we're going to do is the actual lily with the Melon Mambo. These are distinctive stamps, so you just stamp once. There's no lining up, nothing funny. It's very simple, very easy. I'm using just a mouse pad underneath just to give it a little bit of cushion because it is a photopolymer. I'm going to try not to get my head in the shot. I'm going to put it right towards the top of this kind of in the center because I want to stamp 2 of the other smaller lily buds, I guess, on either side. Now, isn't that amazing? I find that amazing. First time I did it. Okay, now we're going to do the smaller ones on either side. I've been doing basically one up, kind of, and one a little bit lower because I didn't want them totally, you know, even and pattern-like. Just gorgeous. Now we're going to put the stems and do some leaves on there. I have the stem. There's two stems. I have them mounted on one H block, one on either side, just because it was easier for me rather than finding another block. Okay, I'm going to stamp the one in the center first. And again, I'm trying not to get my head in the shot. There we go. And then I'm turning it over and using the other stem for the 2 smaller ones. And now we're going to just fill in the spaces with some leaves. I don't want so much white down there, so we're gonna, there's one big leafy stem thingy, so we'll put one there. I'm just gonna put a smaller one. I'm not gonna stamp so high up. I could also turn it around and use the other side, but I decided not to in this case. And I'm just gonna put a little bit, just a little tip in there, so I didn't have so much white. And isn't that just gorgeous and simple? And that is all the stamping we have to do. So we're going to layer this on top of the Tranquil Tide, the Melon Mambo on top of the Tranquil Tide. I'm just using Tombow Mono liquid adhesive, but you can certainly use whatever you like. You can use snail. I just find that the Tombow is a little bit more, gives you a few more seconds to play around with it, but it's also very strong. I usually I'm making several cards at the same time, so I would actually put something heavier on top of them to hold it down while I move on, but this is going to be kind of fast, so. Now we're going to glue the lily on top of that. And again, I'm trying not to get my head in there. Got glue on my finger. I did not add any embellishments or any bling, which is really pretty unusual for me, but that was because I wanted the cards to stay pretty flat. I wanted to make sure I can fit them all in easily enough inside the acetate box. I did get something with glue that was on my finger, and I also have ink on my finger, so I'm going to try to take that off with my sand eraser, and it looks okay. It looks fine. Love these things. Now this is going to go onto our card. Actually, we'll put the sentiment on first. There we go. And now we'll glue the whole thing onto our card. just going to put that aside for a second. Next thing we're going to work on is our belly band. Now I will have on my blog, I will have the dimensions, but the belly band for the box is scored at 2 5/8, 3 1/4, 7 3/4, then 8 3/4. And that's so that it can go around the front, which is basically 4 1/2. It can go around the front to the back, like so. So we know that in between these two scores is the center of the box. So I've already cut out of the smaller dies and that rectangle stitch dies, the 2 colors I need. I also cut out, as I said earlier, the just a note. So we're going to stick those all together. It's easier for me to pick them up and look at it and make sure it's as even as I can get it. Oops. Okay, and now we're going to put that right on the front of that belly band. The only thing I have to be careful about is I can't have the glue right at the edge because obviously it would squirt out. And we don't want to actually glue it to the acetate at all. So I'm just going to line it up so I can see where the center is. There, that's more like in the center, right about there. If you find it easier, you can actually just make your 4 cards up, put them in the box, and then put this on, and then put the center sentiment on. Might be easier. I think that's what I did the first time, but okay. Then on the box, and so I'm not trying to glue it to the box. I just want to. I don't like that at all. It's kind of not. It's not even. Hopefully I can do it again without actually wrecking that paper. See, that's too far that way now. There, that's better. Much better, much better. Okay, now I want to glue it at the back. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Hands are sticky from glue. I will take this off later because I've got a little glue splat there and I don't really like it, but I'm going to have to wait till it dries before I can put any pressure on it. I think I made it too tight. I think that one's pulling it too much. There we go. Okay. And then you would put the 4 cards that you made. I have 4 off to the side here, or 3, plus the 4th that we just made now, as well as 4 envelopes. And then slide them into the box. Okay, so I didn't slide them in very well. Okay, 3, there's 4. And the envelopes. Oh, come on. There we go. And there's a nice little set of note cards to give away. I said these would make awesome teacher gifts, Mother's Day notes to give in a big gift basket maybe. You can even change them to thank you notes, which is probably what I'm going to be doing. As well as that one, I have a couple of samples here that I made earlier. I made them in the Pear Pizzazz and Mango Melody. These are my original ones. I made actually one as a happy birthday and one just a note. But today we decided to do it in these 2 colors, which are actually pretty. Very pretty note cards. I'll have more pictures on my blog, so hopefully you can see them a little bit clearer than that. So there you go. That's today's project. Again, if you'd like to purchase from my online store, please hop on over to www.dragonfliescreations.stampinup.net. Use the host code QNJSE2VF for in the month of February. And as long as your order is over $40, I will send you a card kit. The card kit will include enough to make, including the box, to make 4 cards, 4 envelopes, as well as the belly band. All the details of this card will be on my blog. But as you can see, it's not a very complicated card at all to make, and I do hope that you enjoy making it. I am considering doing an actual live in-person class. However, if you'd like to host a class making this card set in your own home, please feel free to email me or contact me through the website, and I'd be sure to help you out and set something up. Okay, so that's it for tonight. Hope you all have a great evening and a great weekend if I'm not back on.